Desde el Festival Stereo Picnic Radioactiva, el Planeta Rock los acompaña. Un gusto por primera vez en nuestro país, por primera vez en el festival y en Radioactiva. Hozier, welcome to Radioactiva, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very happy to be here.
You've had an awesome year. You've visited some great scenarios around the world. You did Red Rocks in the US, right?
That's right.
And you also did Hollywood Bowl.
That's right.
And now you're doing Colombia.
That's right, yeah.
First time in Colombia, how's that?
It's exciting. I'm excited to be here. I think anytime it's your first time playing somewhere to an audience you haven't met before, to meet fans for the first time in that part of the world, it's always special, you know, and I feel grateful that I get to do that.
You know, the whole putting together the tour and coming to Latin America, does it change a lot when it comes to Spanish-speaking countries to going not only, of course, Europe, but like the US? Is it that different to put the whole thing together for Latin America?
It's different. I mean, logistically, it's different, and it can be a challenge. So, I mean, at this run of festivals, a lot of artists get their first time to actually perform in Latin America in a run of festivals like this festival season. But I will say that it's also different in the experience of doing the show, playing to crowds in Latin America. I find that they are generally, it's true what they say, the audiences are incredibly passionate, they give a lot of energy, and they're a joy to play to.
Well, you got to keep in mind that you had your careers like over 10 years from your debut record, and you've never been here.
Right.
So we don't really have the chance that many. About that, you've only released 3 records in 10 years. Yes. Tell me about the process behind each record, because I'm guessing you take your time for each one.
Yeah, you know, I generally do. I think I also tour. I've toured extensively after each one, so that's about a year or 2 years of touring every album. So by the time I actually am ready to start making music again, you know, we're already into year 3. You know, so that contributes to it significantly. But I think for me, it's just whenever the songs are ready. You know, this is probably the quickest I'm releasing music after an album. And part of that is just there was so much music made in the album process, so I get to share more, which is great.
I love the album cover of the latest record. I loved it. Is that you under Earth with the?
It is. Yeah, that's me.
Why? Usually they use different people.
Yeah, I think I have very distinctive, like horse-like teeth, so I thought I wouldn't get away with it. So we needed to do that, myself.
Okay, was there a reason why that you guys decided to do, you know, the whole ground thing? Because I may be overthinking stuff, but the previous record, it was you underwater.
Yes.
So it's water, now it's earth.
Yeah, there's water on earth. Yeah, there's definitely a kind of there's something of a thread through those for sure. I think in this one, the album plays with the structure of an old poem called Dante's Inferno, which is about a man who's in hell, walking through hell in these 9 different circles. So, and I arranged the songs on the album into 9 themes to sort of nod to that structure. And so this idea of being buried, or this idea of being what's underground, that's also part of the photos theme. Cool. You know.
Is literature a really important thing for you when it comes to writing the lyrics?
I find it does inspire me. It does find a way. It's not necessarily that I go looking for it, but either through poetry, generally through poetry, I found, and some literature, you know, some other literature.
Okay. About that, I understand you're about to release a new EP of songs that somehow didn't make it to this record, but are still, you know, in the whole concept that you just mentioned. Yeah. Tell us about it, please.
Yeah. So there's 4 songs. There's Too Sweet, which I think is a single. Will be released. Wildflower and Barley, which is featuring a dear friend of mine, incredible artist Alison Russell. And Empire Now and Farewell, and they were just different themes. So that the way that Dante's Inferno was structured was these circles of hell, of limbo, and then lust and wrath, etc., etc. So these are songs that nearly fit into similar themes. They or themes that the album has covered, and these could have been alternative. They were like alternative songs for those themes.
Okay. I also wanted to say I love the Brandy Carlisle collaboration on record.
Thank you very much.
How did she end up there?
Myself and Brandy met years ago at Newport Folk Festival, which is a festival in Rhode Island, in the States. Incredible institution. And we've just gotten to know each other over the years. She is a remarkable artist, remarkable songwriter, somebody I have huge love and admiration for. It's a song that it's kind of like a kind of a runaway ballad, like a runaway power ballad. But I, from the first time of writing that song, always could hear her voice on it. There was no other voice I could really hear on that song, and I sent her a message and asked if she would be part of it. Very kindly.
There's another collab on a previous record. I just forgot. Nina Cried Power with Mavis Staples.
Yes.
How did that came about? I wanted to ask you about that because, well, I love Mavis Staples. I love soul jazz, and of course that's a Nina Simone Sinnerman reference, right?
Yeah. So yeah, Nina Simone, incredible Black American artist. Sang a lot about human rights, about civil rights, particularly about the civil rights movement at the time. Mavis Staples sang before speeches during the American civil rights movement with the Staples Singers. Her music has always lifted me. It's always played in my house. What's interesting about that civil rights movement that she sang in is that it inspired a civil rights movement that took place in Ireland a year later. So those movements were quite tied to one another in that one directly inspired one in Ireland, where I'm from, Northern Ireland, a few hours up the road. And so, I mean, Mavis has always been a very significant figure to me, and as an artist, so that for me, that again, it was once I had that song, I knew that it was Mavis. I really wanted to share it with Mavis.
Okay, cool. Besides, poetry and civil American movements and rights, human rights, what else inspires you?
I don't know. I think it's a hard one to tell. It's like whatever you kind of stumble across which grabs your interest for a moment. And sometimes, honestly, you're in the act of writing, you're in the kind of flow of writing, and something is just pulled out of you, or something just comes through which you weren't even aware was intentional, or you weren't aware that you wanted to write about. But there it is. It sort of leaps out of you, and you just follow the thread. So I think for me, it's just stuff that I've been interested in, and sometimes that's literature, sometimes that's history, and sometimes that's it's the elements of living in this world that are personal and political.
Okay, how does it feel looking back? 10 years career, well, over 10 years, and of course that huge, enormous hit that started everything around the world for you, which was "Take Me to Church." How does it feel like?
Yeah, I feel. I mean, 10 years later, I feel super lucky that it's like I get to play shows still in new places. I still get to come to places I've never been before, and things are still growing. People are still coming to shows more so than they ever have. So it's like I feel encouraged. I feel good. I feel very grateful. I get to come to Colombia somewhere.
And you sang that with Annie Lennox, right?
I sang it with Annie Lennox at the Grammys.
Awards. Yeah, the Grammys.
That's right. Yeah. She's a wonderful artist. Again, Annie is an incredible activist as well too. Somebody I've spoken at length. Was lucky enough to sit down with her a few years ago. Her organisation is called The Circle. But so she's another legend, a total hero. But to get to sing with her at the Grammys was a special memory.
Man, you have great taste in female voices.
Right. Interesting. I do. I think it was, for me, it was like they were more interesting. I was lucky with the record collection that my dad had. A lot of jazz records, a lot of blues records and soul records. So I was instantly drawn, when I first heard Nina Simone sing, I didn't even know half the time what she was singing about. I was a child. But her voice, as the timbre that it has, it as an instrument, as a vehicle for what she carries over. I'd never heard anything like it. To this day, voices like Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, as actual instruments, I thought they were some of the most unique voices. And then some soul singers like Otis Redding, I was obsessed with his voice. I was obsessed with Tom Waits. So any unique sort of voice, I've always been obsessed with, for sure.
Any current female voices?
There's a few. As for actual vocal prowess, I think that with the approach, the rhythmic approach, and the command of melody, rhythm, and the attack of this voice, I think to me, SZA is one of the more interesting voices around at the moment, being recorded. And then as actual the written voice, I think there's an artist, one of the main writers with Big Thief, called Adrian Lenker. I'm a big fan of Adrian Lenker, and Mitski as well too. I'm kind of fascinated by with regards to their written voice as well. They're beautiful voices as well, but the identity of their work is just stunning, you know, I have to say.
Since we just mentioned, you know, jazz and soul and maybe staples and more current artists, just to buy records, like what was the last album you bought?
The last album I bought was by an Irish band called Lankum, and they are like a folk. They've been described as doom folk. They're like a mix between like doom metal and ambient doom music and folk music. So I don't know how to describe their work. That's how they've been described. I don't know if I would describe it that way. I think they're sort of deeper and richer. They sort of capture the pessimism of our times, but through the lens of a sort of traditional folk music as well too, or with the grounding of traditional folk music. They're fantastic. And I was at their show in Liverpool just last year, end of last year, and I picked up a few vinyls.
That sounds weird.
Yeah. They're great. They're amazing.
I gotta say, that sounds weird, man. But I gotta check it out.
They're amazing.
Hozier, thank you very much, man. It's been a real pleasure. I hope you enjoy your time here in the country, and you know, have the time to see some scenery or whatever. When are you guys leaving?
Tomorrow morning early, sadly.
Man.
Yeah,
just after the show.
Yeah,
well,
much.
Enjoy, and once again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Great to chat to you.